Hi. September, I started listening to you. This is my first seminar, my first cruise,
Yeah.
my first Alaska.
Yeah.
Beyond belief, I mean. My cat died in September, and that day, I didn't know she was going to die. It's the only pet I ever had. My friend and I had a spontaneous breakfast, and she told me about you. And I started listening and riding my bike. And my cat told me she wanted to die that night. And we put her down. And I buried her. And her spirit filled the sky.
Yeah.
And she taught me there is no death.
Yeah.
And I had already heard that from you that day.
Yeah.
And I got high. I mean, I was in her spirit. And I stayed high for about a month listening to you. And then I crashed. And I became aware of my resistance. I became aware of how I've been manifesting.
One of the benefits of being around someone who's making their transition, who made their transition, is that as you focus upon someone who is in that high-flying vibration, you often receive the benefit of some of that energy too. Also, your desire that came out of all of that caused you to focus in a stronger way. But that focus is kind of a hard thing to maintain. Often people will say to us, Abraham, when I first met you, so many wonderful things began coming into my experience. And the reason for that is because they had so many things in their vortex, and through the soothing that they received somewhat from us, they were in a better state of allowing. And so for the first time, they began allowing more of the things that they wanted into their experience. And so it's not uncommon for you to focus into greater clarity and then lose your focus for whatever reason. But in all of that, there's something important that we want to say to you. And that is, whether you were focusing upon the condition of your cat making transition, or whether you're focusing on some other condition which caused you not feel so good, in either case, or in any case, you're focused conditionally. And conditional focus will always give you highs and lows. There's no steady balance if you are a conditional focuser. Because when you focus on something wanted, you align. When you focus on something not wanted, you crash. And so that's why so many people are sort of unstable around you. That's why it's not a good idea to need someone else's attention on you to be the reason that you feel good, because they're fickle. They might be focused in a way that feels good, and they may not be, you see. But once you establish this relationship with your inner being, who is always stable, who will always be there, who will never mess around with you, who is always stable, and once you develop your own patterns and paths and processes to align with that, then you've got it made. Then you have more stability in your experience. But don't be hard on yourself about negative emotion. Negative emotion is necessary to an understanding of positive emotion. It just is. You couldn't focus without both ends of the spectrum. You just don't want to hang out so much. In times before, we talked so much about step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 1 is the asking. And you wouldn't be doing any asking if there were not that contrast. Step 2 is the answering of that asking. And step 3 is you aligning with what you're asking for, or aligning with the answer. And you can't be in step 1 and step 3 at the same time. And so we still want to say that to you. We still want to say that step 1 and step 2 and step 3 really apply. Step 4 is just mastery of step 3. That's when you just get really, really good at holding yourself in that place of feeling better. And step 5 is our favorite step at all. That's when you're not mad at yourself about being back in step 1. Because contrast matters. Contrast matters, and it matters a lot, you see. Just don't hang out in step 1. It's easy to hang out in step 1. Most of the world is hanging out in step 1. Most of the world is pushing against this and this and this and this and this, creating magnificent vortices. But most people are hanging around in step 1, blaming you for this and you for this and you for this and you for this, and I don't feel good about this, and it's your fault and it's my fault, and step 1, step 1, step 1. It's time to move on from step 1. None of you ever need to really spend more than about 30 seconds a day in step 1 again. Step 1, contrast will show itself to you, but take the bounce quickly and move on. And use less dramatic words than crashed. You didn't crash. It's like once you accomplish these standards of feeling great, then a moment of boredom feels awful. Ask your teenagers. When they're bored, they just look like they just want to die. Being bored is just the worst thing that they can think of, because they like that energy moving through them, you see, and you do too. So it's relational. You would not even know what crashed felt like if you hadn't soared.
And
so
for
much.
me, the crash was more the judging myself for not maintaining the high-flying disc. And then I realized, oh my goodness.
That's why we like to talk about step 5. Step 5 is not blaming yourself for not maintaining, because contrast matters.
Yeah.
That's like blaming the dark. The sun comes up and you get up every morning and you just curse night. Oh, it was so dark without you. It was so dark without you. That's just silly.
So then I understood why a series of horrendous things happened to me in my life, and that I had been assaulted as an infant. And once I understood that, and that somebody helped me climb that ladder up from there, I began to really celebrate.
Maybe, but in more cases than not, somebody helping you to identify that just shifts the blame.
No, there was no blame. Honest to God, I feel like there was a clam that I tightened up, and this pearl of rockets of desire has been in there from...
It made you understand something that you hadn't been understanding?
Yes.
And so then what? So then take that further, because that's...
So now I feel like the rockets of desire that formed at infancy, which are so magical and powerful and pressured, and it's starting to open up. There's something amazing is starting to open up that never opened up before. Is all
Well,
I'm
it's
saying.
you, because all that desire is there. It's ripe and ready for you to tune into the receiving of it. So what's opening up is your willingness to feel good with no reason. That's what unconditional alignment really is. Feeling good without requiring a reason to feel good. Feeling good because that's natural, like the cork naturally floats. You don't find a cork bobbing and say, why are you floating? Why are you floating? It's what corks do. It's what corks do. Unless they're waterlogged with self-criticism and doubt. Enough?
Almost. I've had a career from 20 years of web design, and my music now wants to come out. I'm 62, and I feel it in the Vortex. I feel the people coming to me that have the juicy, rhythmic power that I want to jam to with my flute. And I just wanted to amplify that with you for a second before I got off the stage. And that's all I wanted to say is that, well, thank you also. Thank you. This is amazing. This is, I can't even tell you how amazing this has been. And last time I woke up in my bed in Santa Fe, I felt so different than I feel on this ship. And I'll be back there the day after. I'll be back there tomorrow. And maybe a tip for waking up in the same bed where I felt so different.
You're waking up in the same bed, but you're a different vibrational set point. So everything will shift for you. Everything shifts. You don't have to spend a lot of time even remembering what happened here. You've shifted. You've shifted. This is a good conversation to have with everyone. Don't spend too much time trying to remember the things that you felt good about as they opened within you, because there's too many of them and you won't remember them. And then you'll just get frustrated about what you don't remember. Just accept that you shifted vibrationally. You're in a different place. You have a different vibrational set point. And then watch for the difference in the way life comes to you because of your different shift.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank my husband for coming.
Really good. Really good. Really good. This is a really good time for a segment of refreshment. We're done. This has been a very good day. Lots of nuggets. There is no homework. Quite a day of focus. And yet, not the normal exhaustion one might expect. A sort of renewal of who you are. We are pleased with the nuggets that you've provided for all that is. The entire universe is benefiting by the combining of that which you are. There is great love here for you. And for now, we are complete. See you tomorrow. tomorrow.